Time blindness. There's a woman on TikTok who claims to have a condition related to ADHD called time blindness, where you just can't keep track of time and therefore you cannot be held accountable to show up to work on time, show up to classes on time. And she was asking this in a job interview, can you make accommodations for my time blindness? She claims that they told her it's not a real condition. How dare they?
Okay, we're gonna play the video. Off on the face. This whole thing sounds fake.
Well, let's hear her out.
The interaction sounds
because she doubled down.
fake.
She doubled down after the fact, and she insists that this is real.
In fact, here's the thing. I made a point recently where I said that I think that women are the best satirists on the internet. I think there's a reason why people buy so many fake things that women post online, because it's believable.
It's believable.
Exactly.
Because people do claim to have time blindness, and this is not the first time I've heard the
there's
term.
all sorts of medical journals and stuff talking about it. So I don't think that this is fake, but I think that she believes this, but I think the story sounds fake because of the response she gets from these employers.
Hear her out.
It sounds like everything that like a weird modern day college student would think of when they picture like corporate America. Okay, so listen to this.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time, you know? And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else, and then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist, and if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job.
Yes.
You know, provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace. And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah,
you're
that
an idiot.
Culture needs to be dismantled.
You're a complete idiot.
And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system?
Loser. Just a complete loser mentality.
Think I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement.
Of all the things that have never happened, this never happened the most.
And then everyone clapped.
I wish it did. It would be good, so that way people that are actually doing interviews and stuff, they know that these people are out there, and they can be like, we can just go ahead and look for the things that indicate this person's probably coming. I bet there was a...
They just throw her application into the shredder immediately. You can go.
The idea
but like...
the idea that time blindness is some kind of excuse when we have like cell phones nowadays, that's so absurd. It's such a cop-out, and it's all they're saying is I deserve a job to be paid for nothing.
I actually come from a disadvantaged background where we didn't have clocks in our house. So you have to make accommodations for me.
Her use of the language dismantled just reeks of linguistic propaganda.
She definitely didn't say that in a real life conversation.
No.
And I don't think that the interviewers said your generation is destroying the workplace.
I don't believe any of those
But I do genuinely
interactions.
believe some people feel when they are corrected in a candid way that they're being yelled at.
Yes.
Like they perceive anyone defying what they have said as being yelled at, even if it was being told to her in a completely reasonable tone of voice and a completely reasonable volume. She would still come away with the victim mentality that she was yelled at like a child. And, you know, you should be actually, because you are treating yourself like a child and you are expecting to be treated like a child. Therefore, you should be reprimanded.
She believes that you paying her money to be on time is entitlement.
And I do see that she has responded to the comments and saying this is definitely real. She is doubling down. She was hoping that this trade school she was applying for would offer her a 15-minute window in which she could arrive and more time that you're allowed to be late. She said they had a rule that if a person was late more than 4 times, they were kicked out of the program. And she said this is an example of ableism. And time blindness, to be clear, is not a diagnosis in itself. It's a symptom often associated with ADHD.
Correct.
Where people lose track of time. They struggle to accurately gauge how much time has passed. Again, as you said, in the age of cell phones, literally just set an alarm, set a reminder do what you need to do.
That's what
it's not anyone else's responsibility.
In an age when we have digital assistants, and we're very, very close to having personal assistants that are AI. Like, I mean, we're probably 3 or 4 years away from like your phone just literally talking to you whenever you feel like it, and it will actually behave as if it has a personality and be accurate. 3-4 years, maybe most. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely absurd. This person should be mocked unendingly.
All of the literature that I was looking at gives multiple references to set multiple alarms. All of the medical stuff is how you yourself can fix it, not how the company you're applying to work for can acquiesce to your weird demands. The other thing that's interesting is like you said it was a trade school. So more than anything, if you're going to work in the trades and you're getting hired, say she wants to be an electrician or a plumber, and she's going to be working on jobs for a company. Time is money in those industries, and you don't get the ability to just go and be late if you're working for an employer, right? Like you're on the clock. So that's a problem. And if the school acquiesces and lets you do this, then you're going to expect your employer to do the same.
Yeah. It's not just, time blindness, being late for work, being late for school that I've seen people complaining about. I've seen people online claiming to have ADHD and claiming that ADHD is the reason why they can't shower, they can't brush their teeth, they can't leave the house, they can't get dressed, they can't do these basic things because of their ADHD. They said that they can't even make breakfast for themselves. Yeah. Things like that. Like they said, what are good breakfast foods to make if you have ADHD? Don't say eggs. Like this is just abdication of being a functioning human being, essentially. And yeah, you should be made fun of for it. Mm-hmm. And this is what prompted the meme. Now it's a meme of y'all can't do anything. OMG. And this started because someone posted, "We don't talk enough about how stressful Halloween costumes are for the ADHD community. OMG, you people can't do anything, can you?" Like, also, we don't need to talk about that. And also, having ADHD does not put you into some kind of community. Yeah. That's not a community. That is a bizarre thing to say.
There's a really funny episode of House where they talk about the deaf community, because that there are the deaf have their own schools, the deaf have their own things like that, and they talk about how Foreman is basically really, really rude and says anything that I can simulate with a $3 set of earplugs isn't a community or isn't an identity, and people had a lot of pushback on that because look, when you suffer from something that sets you apart from the public, a lot of people do band together and make their own communities because they feel like other people don't understand them. This is a product of internet culture more than anything. Mm-hmm. It is. And my favorite was the one that says, what was it? Y'all love walkable cities until you need groceries.
Man.
Yeah. Then they said, wait till you hear about walking to the grocery store. And they responded, works well until you have 4 kids or are disabled or have social anxiety.
Yeah. Well.
Another person said, icebreakers and team building activities are always done in a way that harms neurodivergent people.
Who are these people again?
There are also people who claim that they can't come to the door when they order DoorDash.
I have no respect for these people. None. And no one should have any respect for them. Not having the ability to interact with other human beings, that is something that you should get scorned and I forget the word. You should be mocked for. That is not something that we want to go ahead and uplift in society. Like that's antisocial behavior. During
the lockdown, I saw a TikTok that just came up on my For You page. Someone said, I've just been through a bout of depression where I haven't brushed my teeth for 4 months, and I just brushed my teeth today. And all of the comments were saying like, congratulations, I know that was really hard for you. Don't feel any pressure to do it tomorrow. Just be happy for yourself that you accomplished this. You're never going to overcome the problem.
You know how this started? It started with the things like, just to let you know, you're enough. You're like, it's infographics saying like, you're enough. You tried and that's fine.
Meanwhile, I'm like Patrick Bateman. You could always be thinner and look better.
Yes.
But I saw this thread about the y'all can't do anything catchphrase. They said, OMG, y'all can't do anything has set mental health discourse back like a decade and a half. Every time anyone talks about an unflattering aspect of their condition, you can now make fun of them with the veneer of irony, and you aren't a cruel person for that because it's just a meme reference, actually. On the one hand, I do understand that the phrase has helped some people get over learned helplessness, and I do think that people should be working toward getting over that, but I also think it feels really dismissive sometimes. Two things can be true at once, and basically they're saying you should have an excuse for that exact learned helplessness, and no one should, encourage you to be better or, make fun of you if you say something ridiculous.
The main story here is an even more concrete example, because it's one thing to talk about that amongst your family, friends, and loved ones, in which the social contract that you inhabit is different. When it's your employer, that's a very specific set of social rules that go together, right? You show up on time, you do your job competently, and you are rewarded with money. You are paid to do so.
This TikToker from the video, her response to claims that she was selfish and thinks that everyone should bend their time because I don't respect anyone's time. She responded, I just think that schools and businesses have a higher obligation to God, and I think that their first responsibility needs to be to care for other people. I just think other people's struggles and getting them help comes before profit.
That's objectively not true.
Spoken like someone who has never and will never own a business themselves, where they need to worry about their bottom line.
Correct.
That's insane. That's such an insane take. And what was this making it about religion thing?
Yeah.
It's like you're basically putting yourself in the position of a god that you need to be served.
I mean, you can logically conclude that same person would also have strong criticisms of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all the millionaires and the billionaires who need to be taxed to the high heavens, rather than asking the question if maybe we're not just being taxed a little bit too much. I saw a really interesting thread the other day of people talking about, don't think of them as the amount of money that they're worth, because their net worth isn't liquid cash anyways. Think of them in terms of the amount of jobs that they've created. Mm-hmm. And that's a really interesting way to look at that. But that's a little bit more complex than they want to think of that, because they want to other people that actually contribute to society through providing jobs.
And this is not even to mention the fact that I would bet a majority of these people talking about the ADHD community are not even diagnosed with ADHD.
I know. These days it's so easy.
They're
encouraged.
They're encouraged to self-diagnose.
Yeah. But I bet you most of them, like, it's just, if we were talking autism, I would totally buy that a lot of them do the self-diagnosis for autism, which is very common these days.
Or like Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah, but like with ADHD,
like
you go to the doctor like, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble thinking. Can you please give me my meds? And then they do.
My brain no work.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think of the school of thought that bullying works? Do you guys agree with that thought?
Absolutely. 100%.
Does getting bullied online, ever motivate someone to actually change their behavior?
Absolutely.
Men
100%.
talk about it all the time, about their friends holding them to account about losing weight. And stuff like that it does work.
Maybe it only works on men.
Did you go to the gym yet? No.
Yeah.
Why not, loser? What are you just gonna sit home? You gonna sit on the couch like a bump on the log? Get up, lose. That kind of stuff. That works great. It works really, really, really well.
It would work very differently for men than women.
Women would probably have a coronary, but
that's exactly what we're seeing here. So maybe it only works on half of the population.
Yeah, unfortunately. And this stuff is going to become more prevalent because we've medicalized society so much. And to be fair, a lot of these corporations, for the sake of trying to look virtuous, acquiesce a lot. There's that word again. And try to give in as much as they can to make themselves seem like the good guys, when we all know
menstrual
that
leave,
they would
anyone?
they would be better off just being like, look, this is a business. We're not your parents. We're not your family. We are offering you a chance to make money by doing this job. You are imminently replaceable. I know that sucks, but tomorrow, like if I was like, I can't come to work. I can't make it to work on time
because of my time blindness.
They could drop someone in here and somebody could figure out my job and do it. That's just the way of the world. Sorry.
Well, I don't want that to happen.
But I'm saying, like, people have a hard time accepting that for the most part, most jobs, outside of a fair few people who demonstrate immense value to a company, that you're replaceable.
Sure.
So
yeah.
if that means that if the only thing preventing you from being replaced is getting there on time, yes, you could turn to the company and say, what are you doing for me? Or you could do the logical thing and say, what am I doing for myself to make sure that I do that? Even with, something like ADHD. I was on Adderall for like 15 years. When I got sober, I had to get off of it, and I had to find ways to find better time management, to motivate myself to be able to do things. And it took time, and it took a bunch of work, but I was able to do it. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. The benefit being that mentally I'm more stable, and my life is less up and down because I've learned techniques to deal with the fact that I have the attention span of a gnat. Okay? That's my problem to figure out. It's certainly not my employer's.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.